Hi, this is Tessa with Hip Over 50. Today I'm house sitting and pet sitting for a dear friend in the wilds of Somerset here in England. It's a gorgeous little cottage and a great little garden, and I'm really looking forward to being here this week. Today I'm going to talk to you about being grounded. What does grounded mean? Grounded is when you feel very secure. You feel that nothing can rock your boat. And you're feeling good about where you are, you're feeling good about where your head is and where your heart is. You're just basically able to keep yourself emotionally stable. So grounded basically is no great highs, no great lows. You figured out how to keep your moods pretty stable so that you are experiencing all the joy in the world and obviously some of the sadness, but you're not your meter doesn't go way up high or way down low. You're able to keep it on an even keel, and you're able to make your choices about life, what you want to do, where you're going, based on that even keel. So I want to talk about what does it take to get grounded and what are the key elements of being grounded, because let's face it, that's a good place to be. I mean, we all want to be able to think that we can kind of survive anything and that we can manage whatever life throws at us. And let's face it, life has been throwing a lot of stuff at us lately, hasn't it? It's been really difficult to stay grounded and to stay calm in the midst of all this upheaval that we're going through these last couple of years. I mean, from pandemics to wars to politics, it seems like everything is in flux. But the reality is that your inner life doesn't need to change. Your inner life doesn't need to go into flux. It doesn't need to go up or down depending on what the external world is doing. That is the key to being grounded, is always knowing you have the power and the control to take charge of your thoughts and therefore your feelings. And that's a pretty darn useful, skill to have, because no matter what is going on in your life, if you are grounded and you know that you can, keep yourself calm and stable, then that's super positive. I mean, that's like golden. I like to think that I've become more grounded as I've been practicing it, because it really takes being super aware of what you're thinking. Because as I've said before, our thoughts can do all kinds of things to our head. I mean, they can make us feel giddy with delight, or they can make us feel like, oh, this sucks, this happened and that happened and that happened, and I'm just not a happy camper anymore. So a lot of that stems from our thoughts or what we think about something. If I start feeling, kind of not too good about something, then I I deliberately skim over the news stories. I don't read it in depth like I used to, because I realize that's it's difficult to maintain positive thinking in the face of a lot of negative news. I no longer watch news on TV because, again, it doesn't matter whether I agree with it or not. The majority of it lately can be very disheartening, let's put it that way, or discouraging. And I think it ends up making us feel like we have no control, which is one of the key themes of the pandemic itself, for example, is that we all of a sudden had a lot of our autonomy taken away. So how do you stay grounded in the face of all this negativity that's out there? Well, you dial it down, you make deliberate efforts to limit your exposure to negative thoughts, negative words, negative videos, negative pictures, negative anything, whether it's people, news, media, social media. You dial it down. You limit your exposure to it. I like to know what's going on in the world, but I have limited my exposure. I will skim the news now and just get what I need. And I'll be aware of the fact that I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't look at a lot of news. I never look at news on social media. I'm rarely, if ever, on Facebook. You know that I'm on Instagram, but I don't. Again, I don't. I only follow, other travel people or lifestyle or interior people. I deliberately limit my exposure to bad stuff, and that's also true of people. If I find somebody's got a very negative outlook, I'm not going to hang around them very long. So that is what you can do if you want to become more grounded, is really start kind of scanning your world and scanning what you're allowing into your space, into your headspace, into wherever, into your home, and start being monitoring it so that you're not trying to, deal with a lot more negativity than your brain or your heart can handle. So that's one thing, being aware of your thoughts and dialing down any outside influences that may be contributing to a negative thought spiral. The other thing is being aware of your values. What are your values? And are you living by them? Because I think when we're true to our values, when we're really kind of very strong on what they are, then it gives us sort of a compass. I can't do that because that's against my values, or I'm not going to go there because that doesn't align with what I believe in. I think that's something really super important now, more than ever, is to know what your values are and know what's important to you, and use that as a compass. Use that as your North Star, because that's what we all need, is that kind of, yeah, that's my rock. I believe in that because I think that is the best value system for me and something I can live with. Whether it's as simple as having integrity, being honest, being kind, always being helpful, but also taking care of yourself. Your value can be taking care of myself, because I am ultimately the best person to do that, the best person to know how to do that. And I also have the best intel on how to actually do that. And protect your own boundaries and your own values against the outside world. That doesn't mean you're not open. That doesn't mean that you're not still taking in information and making assessments. But it does mean, your core values are, in my case, I would never steal or even think about stealing. I would never take something that was somebody else's. I would never, be dishonest to somebody. I would never do anything that compromises my values, because that's integral to how I feel about myself. And how I feel about myself helps me stay grounded. So those are the two things I would say to become more grounded, is just really be aware of those thoughts, because they can trigger feelings. And sometimes the feelings kind of muddy up the thoughts, and we think, oh, this negative feeling is something I need to pay attention to. No, usually it isn't. Usually it comes from a series of thoughts. Oh, that so-and-so doesn't like me anymore. Well, do they not? I mean, did you ask them? Or, oh, that person cut me off in traffic. Did they do it because it was you? No, they just did it because they're having a bad day. So really rein in, what you allow into your life. And don't allow the little things to kind of add up and get you crazy, because it'll be hard to stay grounded if you do. Staying grounded means you're on solid foundation. You know where you stand, you know what you stand for, you won't allow in bad stuff, you protect your boundaries, you're clear on what your needs are and what you need out of any relationship or any partnership or any situation. You're very clear about who you are and what you want, what you need. And you're not afraid to ask for it. I think that's important in staying grounded, is knowing that you have value, that you are important, that what you bring to the table or what you bring to the world is just as valuable as anybody else. So I think when you feel yourself having a sense of importance, when you know your values, and when you monitor your thoughts, then you can become very grounded. And that's a great place to be, because it'll help you create a jumping off point for all of those great choices that you have ahead of you, whether it's where to retire, partnerships, relationships, business, any opportunity. You can run it through that filter and say, well, now that I'm feeling very grounded, I'm on a solid foundation. I'm not making any decisions based on fear or any other strong emotion. I know who I am, I know what my values are, and I can act from that place. And that's a good place to be. So I hope this is helpful. If you got any ideas or comments, please put them in the box below, and I'll talk to you soon.